Welcome to EdTech Monday, brought to you by the MasterCard Foundation in partnership with the Innovation Village through the EdTech Lab. EdTech Monday Uganda is a platform to engage Uganda's EdTech community on the emerging topics of education and how technology can address those challenges in the sector. EdTech Monday is held once every month, like we are today, and we dissect the education sector, the future of education, and the available opportunities to grow this sector. Now, gender equality is an important focus for the MasterCard Foundation's Young Africa Work strategy. As one of the largest private foundations in the world, driven by a vision to help and ensure that everyone has an opportunity to learn and prosper, all its programs are not only gender sensitive, but also address the barriers that prevent young women to empower themselves. Education of girls is a fundamental part of any gender empowerment program. According to the World Bank, both individuals and countries benefit from girls' education. Better educated women tend to be more informed about nutrition, healthcare, and have fewer children. They marry at a later age, and their children are usually healthier, and should they choose to become mothers. Last year, to celebrate the International Women's Day, we discussed the challenges that girls and young women face in accessing quality education in Africa and how technology can bridge those gaps. In 2022, we take the conversation a step further and be inspired by these amazing women who are doing a lot in education and technology across Africa. Thank you so much, our panel, for joining us today. I'll allow each one of you at least a minute to introduce yourself to our audiences so that they can know. And maybe we'll start with the doctor.
Hello, I'm Dr. Nabela Havinka Basaza. I'm very excited to be here. I'm a member of NITA Uganda and very passionate about the girl child. And I love working with young people, seeing them grow, seeing them fulfill their big dreams. Thank you.
Hello viewers, Linda Kimbabas is my name. I'm a co-founder, the Chief Curriculum Development Officer at Kano Africa, an education startup that is revolutionizing the early childhood sector. I'm also up for the girl child. I would call myself a woman empowerment activist. I'm so privileged to be here.
Hello, my name is Sheila Kakwezi. I'm the logistics manager at Afrofem Coders. We are a program that educates women in computer programming and computer skills. I'm very proud to be here, and I'm grateful for it.
Thank you so much. You can see you're really an elite panel. Doctor, if I could start with you, what are some of the barriers that you've seen through the years of practice in technology that have stopped women from participating in the EdTech space?
Thank you, Raymond. We face about 5 key core barriers. Girls are faced with social cultural issues. We are faced with illiterate and education issues. We are faced with lots of issues of poverty, issues of lack of exposure, lack of mentorship. Those are part of the keys, and of course, the fear to take on work, the fear to get into the mathematical space, because that's what defines someone in science.
Mm. When you talk about the fear that girls face in accessing these spaces, how are you able, at a personal level, to break this barrier of fear? And now you are a whole doctor in the space. You sit on the board of NITA Uganda. That's not an easy glass ceiling to break. How are you able to break this barrier?
With lots of mentorship, with hand-holding, with having role models. We've grown up seeing our mothers work. We've grown up seeing our aunties make it. We've grown up with seeing mother figures. Look at the many women that have made it even in the education space. That has given us that resilience to know that if they can do it, then I can do it. It's nothing any different from what any person has faced before.
Kemaz, you've described yourself as a women empowerment activist, which means you're really in the front lines of fighting for gender equality and women participation in spaces like EdTech. What barriers have you noticed through your years of activism in this space?
Okay, when it comes to women, as Doctor has said, there are very many epistemological beliefs that come with our culture, where it is believed that this is the space for only men. So that kind of describes how women look at themselves. And this is a narrative that just needs to be challenged. The fear, she talked about fear. I think the bit that I didn't mention is that I'm the founder and the team lead carries therapy. So now I get to let you see through my lenses. I can't separate education from therapy, because when a kid goes to school, this parent is actually entrusting the school with the brain. So it's you nurturing this person's mental space. You can break it, you can make it. And time and again, we see excited children going to school, and by the time they are leaving school, they are battered kids. They can't even look at you straight in the eye. So along the way, there is something that is missed. And I think it comes from, it does come from what they are told. We are told that we are taught some of the things that are talked to us and about us. So very many girls tend to agree that they're not good. They're not good at these science disciplines. The other bit would be, and it's so heartbreaking that even parents play a very important role. It's not even important. They play the part of breaking their own children. A kid is judged as early as nursery school, where you find boys are supposed to take a part in some activities and girls are not allowed to. So as a parent, you are just killing this girl from the very start. And then as life progresses, you find the teachers share the same mindset. So yes, girls need to understand that they need to unlearn. They just need to unlearn a lot that they have been taught, and that is the feelings of inadequacy, and they stand up. I think there has to be that sense of purpose that makes you feel you want to do more, and you follow through that feeling despite of all the negativity, because we live in a society where negativity is just everywhere. Yeah. We just need to break the barrier.
Sheila, if we could talk about breaking the barriers, coding particularly is not something that's traditionally, it's not a space that women have been occupying, and there's been breaking barriers for women to occupy that space. What in your own personal experience has changed? What did you do to break the ceiling, and what is it that you're doing to hold the door open for other young girls that would want to get into the space?
Okay, to start with, I'm going to put a statistic to what you said about African women. We realized that there's only less than 5% of women in technology in Africa. Less than 5%. That's such a small number. So at this realization, that's what made our founder think about AfroFem coders. So to break barriers, we are providing a free service for coding classes, and it would shock you how many women are actually interested, how many women want to be part of technology but do not have access. So for us, by providing it's a free course, we provide free courses. We design courses whereby even somebody that does not have any prior knowledge to coding is given this opportunity. So from scratch, they are taught. We have mentors, they are mentored. We have programs that involve preparing them for skills. They acquire skills, maybe interview preparation, so they're able to get into the job market with ease. This is something actually that's not really taught in school, but we really need it.
Dr. Annabella, if I could bring the conversation back to you. The stories that are being told here are really breaking the ceiling stories. But we've seen institutionally in this country affirmative action towards increasing access of spaces for both genders. She just gave you a statistic, only 5% of women are involved in the technology space. Institutionally, what kind of affirmative action can be done to make sure that girls have the same say in the technology space as the men who are there?
Thank you. Institutionally, it's very key, one, to appreciate that the girls have that strong bond and that strong, unique culture. I just wanted to add more that, you know, one thing we've seen in the education space, especially in technology, every team that has a girl in it has a better innovation. These were statistics. Actually, over 90% of all innovations that excel and live the highest span of time have a girl in it. Why? There is a lot that the institutions build in them, a lot that they pick from the culture, a lot that they pick from the mentors, a lot that they pick. So one of the core things is to institute in institutions the culture of follow-up, the culture of insisting on hands-on, the culture of building presentation hands-on skills, the culture of empowering each person to be able to do it themselves. Otherwise, they can seemingly want to be very lazy, lay back, allow the group members do all the work and present. But when you insist on that personal touch, insisting on seeing what each one can be able to do, I tell you, Raymond, it's amazing how much you'll see what a lady can do. We are gifted to multitasking. When you talk about multitasking, there is no other better person. It's highly attributed to the kind of hormones we have. We can super multitask 5, 6 things running at the same time, while the gentlemen are always gifted to focus because of the testosterone. Yes. And you know, that helps us to blend through. And that's why I said, you know, every time you have a girl on the group, that is it. The innovation goes further, way beyond. We look at it from a holistic view. We look at it with a parent's eye view. Train a girl, train a nation. So by the time you come up with that kind of innovation, wow, you are ready to go. Community will quickly adapt it, and you'll see that the social cultural issues have been handled for greater sustainability.
Cameron, if we could also speak about the barriers between women in the urban setting and women in the rural setting. We live in a very patriarchal society. In the rural setting, women don't have as much power on decision about what they study, where they go to school, who pays the fees. How do you break those barriers so that even at the rural level, you have women engaged in technology spaces?
Very good question. Personally, we do community outreach programs, especially in the rural. If you're to check out social media platforms, you'll see me training very rural women how to read and write. And to me, it's the empowerment, it's the power, like me handing them over their power. From my experience, when you enter, like the first time I enter those rooms, you really see women who are trembling. They feel they are nothing. And by the time we leave, they're like, oh, we can actually read. And these are the very people from which we get volunteers who can now teach their children. Already that is empowerment.
We're going to take a very short break, but when we get back, we will discuss the problems that are faced by society and how EdTech can solve them. Thank you so much for staying glued to your TV screens. We're discussing the future of EdTech, but discussing the role of women in EdTech. Now, when we look at education and technology, we really look at them as the silver bullets to the problems that we have in our society and in our community. And I want to ask this very fantastic panel of mine today. One of the preeminent problems that really stretches from community to community is poverty. And that determines access to education, it determines access to health, it also determines power relations within families. What can be done from the EdTech side towards solving this completely global problem, but also a problem that Uganda is faced as a country? We'll start with you, maybe, Dr. Namana.
Okay, thank you. Getting people into the space that they can be able to earn more income is the best thing that can ever happen. However small one income is, whatever they do, whatever they sell, being mindful of the kind of taxes, being mindful of the value addition, improved road access, improved facilities will make it easier. Anything that can earn a shilling extra a day to any person will make it happen. Look at our high having. Lots of initiatives are there. However, what we need are more sustainable ways, thinking smart, working well, and setting our priorities, living out on what our wants would be, focusing on the exact needs for life and setting it priority. So where it comes to the EdTech space, focusing on empowering the children, focusing on cutting out on what doesn't make it happen, especially mothers know it very well. They are always looking at the betterment of the future of their children. So empowering them to get more money, empowering them to earn and to stop being a dependent makes a huge difference in the country moving out of poverty.
When she talks about empowering children, I know for a fact that you do content for early childhood development. What needs to happen for you to be able to democratize that content so that everyone can have access to it? That way, even those who don't have schools that they're going to can have access to the content.
Actually, as a content creator in the EdTech space, allow me say this. We have very many problems that we are facing as an education system. Firstly, when we are solving, there is us trying to replicate exactly the education system, and there is us innovating around solving those problems that are within the system so that we get a better result. When we look at the children that we are creating content for, it's the next generation, and we need to overhaul the curriculum first so that kids have relevant content. For example, climate change is happening now, and it is a very big problem, especially to the people in the rural, but you find they don't even know about it. It's more of, can we teach these kids relevant content so that they can learn and know the part they have to play so in order to combat this, because this is something to do with their destiny. Then after giving them the relevant content, availability there has to come in. On our end as Kano Africa, we have a hybrid model where, much as it's a premium product, we also think about the last mile person, because we believe no child deserves to be left behind. And that's why we go to these rural areas and we get in touch with NGOs. For example, the UNICEF Fund Challenge, they availed us with some funds. That's where we went to Bidibidi Refugee Settlement, and we gave our content out free of charge. So it's just an eye-opener to also the other entrepreneurs to have the heart for the last mile person. That's the only way.
Maybe, Raymond, just to add, the Ministry of ICT proudly also handheld and saw the initial bit of small funding to Kano Africa. It's actually one of the products, so we count it as a very big plus. Their launch was mega, and we always follow up on all these products, and seeing them being able to grow really brings a lot of satisfaction and shows that yes, there is value for money in supporting innovators out there that are actually making a positive difference and also adding value to the community. Thank you.
Sheila, if we could come to you, how do we get programs like yours to scale, to reach the last mile, and to be affordable even in those communities, and also to keep you and the lights running so that the program can run?
But we are welcome to donations. We have a fundraiser running right now on our website, afrofemcoders.org. Yeah. So all people are helping really by donating and giving to us. So whatever they give to us, we use it to help the people that are registered with us, that are enrolled in our courses. Yeah, but on our end, we are offering the free course, and maybe if donations continue coming through and funders, and if the government could also help.
One last question that I want all of you to answer is around policy, interface with government. Technology looks to be very much a private sector-led effort, but government makes tremendous investment in infrastructure. If you could suggest some changes in policy, or if you could suggest what is working currently and what's not working, what would you change in the EdTech space?
What I'll change in the EdTech space is, first, I don't know if there's anything the government can do about the stigma, but it's too much. There's too much stigma around women in technology. That would make a very huge difference, because much as people have interest, most of them, like she mentioned earlier, believe that it's not for them, it's not for women. So it may be through sensitization, if we can get word out to these people, that would be a very huge help, and also to further fund and invest more in this sector, because opportunities are actually there. The opportunities are available, but the skills have not been given. So if they can encourage the skills to be given, if a program comes up and it's giving skills, if the government funds and pushes forward this motion, then I think we'll get there.
What changes would you want to see at a policy level?
Okay, I've gone through the early childhood education policy, and I think there is a lot in it that is not actualized in terms of implementation. For example, the government, in the policy itself, you find where they are encouraging local language adoption. And then when you go to these rural areas, I'm going to give you a scenario. When you go to the early childhood learning framework, they introduce, let's say, phonics approach to reading. And then at primary level, you find they have introduced local languages, which kind of clashes. Even if a child is transformed from the nursery level to the primary, there is a clash. And then when you go to these rural areas, you find these people don't actually practice what is in the learning framework. So it's even so hard for them to interpret. So there is some kind of lag still in these policies in terms of implementation. If I can also supplement on what she said, yes, the stigma is there. I think we are in a society that just looks at women that way. Opportunities are there, and she mentioned that. And yes, they are there because we are in that space. We are seeing very many women getting funded. So as women, I think my word would be to break the fear. Break the fear. You will hear very many people telling you that that break the fear. It's in a literal sense. When you fear, you don't do some psych up and say, oh, now I'm going to break the fear. You go out there and talk, even when you're trembling. You get it? Yes, that's the whole meaning of breaking the fear.
It's interesting because the theme for this year's Women's Day, I think, is break the bias.
Exactly.
So we're literally breaking the bias. But if I could change the question for Dr. Annabella, what would you love the private sector to do together with government to improve the EdTech space?
One of the things that would see private sector would do is coming in to see how we can partner even further in reducing these costs. Collaboration and private partnerships are what would make it very affordable, especially for the education space, be it in making easy access to facilities, affordability of different items. There's a lot that private sector can be able to do. Improving more on the supervisory component and instilling that kind of togetherness. I don't know how I would actually articulate it. Being responsible. Back to the issue of policy, making it mandatory, I think would be very good for all the girls to do mathematics at whatever level. Without mathematics, I'm telling you, you're not heading anywhere. You are not heading anywhere, especially in the technology, you can't get it. You automatically sieved out. Statistics keep showing us all the way from P5, from P7, the love for math dies. And as mathematics, as numbers drift off, the money is also cut down. By the time you come to S4, they hate it so much. And that's what causes a lot of this stigma. And I think the private sector has a very strong component in coming in to partner, in helping, pushing on this awareness all the way to the grassroots. Because as government alone, we can help in coming up with policies, help in reducing costs at that level. However, leaving out this big, large base, we will not be able to do it alone. We rely on the entire team. And that's where the power is. It's right with the private sector, because that is where how they can be able to reach all the way to the grassroots of the young girls. Yes.
All right, thank you. Very finally, if I might ask all of you in your parting shots, there are young girls who are watching this program who are wondering, how do I find my footing in this space? What word of inspiration and courage would you give them as a parting shot? Start with Dr. Nabella and then all the way to Shina.
Thank you. Young girls out there, I would want to speak to your heart that never give up, remain resilient. Despite the tough times you go through, keep very focused. Irrespective of how life has taken you, however hard it is, keep focused, plan, get your goal, and follow your big dream. There is nothing out there that is free. You need to learn to work for it, keep very focused, and above all, resilience is what will take you to achieving the biggest goal in your life. Thank you.
Okay, to the young girl out there, my word to you would be that you attain a growth mindset. The growth mindset means that with practice and resilience, you will get it right. The school system teaches us that failure is not an option, but actually in the real world, you fail, you get the knowledge, and you move on. So yes, it might, and even then, the mindset around science, I believe it needs to be changed. Media has portrayed science as that discipline for the geeky, for the people who are less cool, who don't have a life. You can actually be yourself and still ace these things. So that would be my word to you. You have to be resilient. Find that strong woman in you. Each one of us, we have that one. So just find that strong woman in you. Silence the background noise. I know it's a lot. Silence it and focus. You can make it.
I want to encourage the young girl, the young African girl, that I want you to know that these things that you're afraid to do, others have done, and you're not different. If you set your mind to it, you can do it. And when it comes to technology, I want to encourage you to go for this. Go online, look up for these free courses. They are there. People are willing to help you. Put your heart to it, and you will achieve it. There are people that are willing to help you. And the way things are going right now, every technology is advancing. It is the right field for you to focus on. It's the right field for you to chase. The way things are going, online school, online marketing, online business, everything is online, and it's involved with technology. So you're not going to make any loss if you pursue this career side. Yeah, so I'm encouraging you, don't give up, stay focused. And these things that people are doing that you're afraid of, there are also ones like you can do. Just set your mind to it.
All right, thank you so much to my panelists today for being such a great panel, and thank you so much to our viewers for watching us thus far. We've been discussing the role of women in EdTech and what women entrepreneurs have been doing in the EdTech space. We've talked about how to break the barriers, and you've gotten it from the horse's mouth on how you can break the barriers in your own community. Thank you so much for watching EdTech Monday. We'll return again next month with another episode of the EdTech Mondays.
NTV, turning on your world.